Realms of all kinds, hear my call to arms, for the endless armies of stupidity, greediness, hypocrisy are marching against us all. Knights, mages, peasants, equip yourself with facts and logic, for it is once again time to raise your banners. My name is thegameblot, and I am joined by Brunswick, Allenbob, and special guest Zord, who just so happens to be streaming right now. We're here to talk about everything from games, movies, food, the square box in our living rooms, current incumbents, and the things on our minds. Welcome one and all.
First things first, this rice pudding is the fucking bomb. Okay.
Fair enough. Note to anyone watching on YouTube, the games that are underneath the audio will usually, for the most part, have absolutely nothing to do with what we talk about. If they do, then that's just a happy coincidence. I am a lazy editor.
So I'm going to start off with my World of Warships rant, because I'm on their page right now, because I was looking to when the update is. They're currently having a thing to where you can get the special commander for Admiral Yamamoto, and they plotted out this whole series of like missions you would do and all this stuff you get that tells about him and all this, and he's a special commander. He has special things, but the one thing that annoyed me so much, and I feel it's extremely stupid, is they made it for people who own Tier 8 ships or higher, because you can only do the missions with Tier 8 ships. And I think that is idiotic, because that's probably less than 1% of their player base owns Tier 8 ships.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is you have to have been playing for a long time for that to get that.
You either had to be playing a long time, or you have to go on and bought one of the high-level premium ships. I think they need to open it up to Tier 6 or higher. That would make much more sense. And also with the Tier 6 ships, they need to make those one matchmaking, to where they can only meet ships one level below them or one level higher, because a Tier 6 ship cannot face a Tier 8 ship, because there's a massive jump in power between Tier 7 and Tier 8.
Yeah, what he said.
So, Zord, I'm assuming you know nothing about World of Warships.
It's a video game, right?
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Yeah! Okay.
As a casual scrub for the game, yes, that makes a little bit of sense. I mean, I don't obviously play enough to have anywhere near the level of skill and competency as some people. Brunswick. But, you know, I play enough of it to sort of grasp the basics of the game and to know that I am actually pretty terrible at it.
Frankly, most players, the average player who plays it, which is just a casual player of the game because they love like warships, is probably generally going to be around Tier 5, the mid-levels. So I think it's idiotic that most of their events and special events are for Tier 8 and higher. And it's just horrible.
No, that's how they're going to make the money, because if I remember correctly, World of Warships is free to play, or fee to pay, actually.
It is.
No. And
it's something.
And that's how they make the money, though. That's how they make that money. I'm sorry. Yeah, fee to play. But that's how they make their money.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, people buying ships and people buying currency.
So, honestly, as like a business standpoint, making it that tier will force everybody else, if they want to get in on it, to pay that a little bit extra money to get it.
I don't think so, because most people who would, if they're going to buy a ship that high level to advance, then they're going to do it either way. The special offer is not going to do anything. Whereas if you make it mid-tiers, then more people would probably come back to the game, because they've had issues with a lot of people leaving as of lately. Yeah, and bring people actually back to the game and bring new players in, because they see it as not that far off. Whereas at Tier 8, it's a long time off.
It is a very long way off. I've had the game for, how long now? I think 6 months, and I've only just hit Tier 4. Purely because the amount of grinding you have to do to get the XP to actually research the next tier of boat is just
I've had the
insane.
game since it came out of closed beta, and I'm only on Tier 7 because I did leave for like 3 months, but because I only play it casually, I'm only on Tier 7.
And World of Warships is a great game to play casually, and there are a couple of others like it that I have had recommended to me by Brunswick. So Blake Dreadnought and Tiger Empire War are both of a similar vein, where, you know, you use your XP as currency, and they've got like a special XP to do various things and stuff that you can actually buy more of. but if you don't want to spend the money on the game, you don't have to. And
think-
it's just a
well-
great game for jumping in, play a couple of matches, and then go off to do something else. It's a very neat, I guess you could say, casual PC game, rather than
World of
something that
Warships-
requires a large amount of time like EU4.
World of Warships and Dreadnought, they are definitely, people say they're pay to win, they are definitely not. They're pay to advance. So, and really, you don't really notice it a lot. Whereas World of Tanks is going a bit towards pay to win with the premium ammo and the ridiculous overpowered premium tanks that they're coming out with. So World of Tanks, I would suggest it's kind of drifting to pay to win, but World of Warships is still fine, and they actually have a better development team.
Yeah.
Same thing with Dreadnought. Dreadnought's about the same, and with Tiger Knight, what it actually does is anything. There is a bunch of packs you can buy, but it's all cosmetic, and when there's a match, it actually lowers everyone down to it brings all the stats down and balances everyone around the lowest level player. Yeah, and their equipment. That way that no one's extremely overpowered in that game.
Wow.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I did notice that me being the lowest tier it was actually pretty easy for me to get in there and start making kills, even on people who looked like they had a decent amount of armor and the troops were like relatively well upgraded. It was like, this is still fairly like, I'm not getting absolutely and horrifyingly annihilated. There is some chance of success, even at a low end.
You guys still there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, it got dead for a minute. I was like,
That's all right.
waiting for somebody to add in there.
Yeah, just on the pay to win thing, Fortnight, and this is worth mentioning because we did mention it in the last podcast a couple of weeks. Was it 2 weeks ago now, or was it just a week ago? I can't remember.
It doesn't matter.
Editing took a very long time, but so there was some confusion over the fact whether it was like going to be free to play or whether you'd have to pay for it, and then you wouldn't have to pay for it again. It will be free to play once it is finished development. Currently, still in early access, and they are asking I think like $60 USD, or your nearest regional
40.
or your nearest
40.
regional. Yep. Okay.
No, finish what you were saying.
Yeah, so, or your nearest regional equivalent to gain access to the early access. So a lot of YouTubers have either gotten, like, obviously keys, or they've just paid the amount required to get in early. I'm not... and obviously there'll be some pay-to-advance stuff there, like, you know, buying extra heroes and cards and stuff for your bases and what have you. But I think the most part, it looks like people will just be able to play the game in advance that way.
You can. I've been playing it since like 2 days after it came out. It's what's interesting is if you get it on PC or PS4, as long as you link your Epic account to your PS4, you can download it onto your PS4 for free. You get a free copy on your PS4, or if you got it on PS4, you can download it on your PC for free. And progress transfers between PC and console. That was actually a mistake. They didn't plan on it doing that, but it just ended up that way.
And now that people have discovered it, they're not going to remove it. Otherwise, they're going to alienate most of their player base, or they'll just go.
We'll see. Also, like if say you're on PS4 and you want to play and I'm on PC and we can play together, you send me a friend request through the Epic launcher after you've linked your PS4, and we can play together. You have to invite me to the party, and then we can play together. I can't invite you. So honestly, if they tweak what's working now, it would be an amazing game. I mean, it's going to be free to play anyways, so they should just figure out how to do it with Xbox One, so that way when it's free to play, everybody can just transfer their progress to console PC. You know, whatever progress you make on your console shows up on your PC, which is, I love the fact that that happened.
That does seem like a massive selling point.
Yes. And the game is very simple to progress through. It's fun with friends. You have, as far as I can tell, there's something like 4 bases that you're going to end up having, like home bases. You're going to have to end up having it initially. The first one I'm sticking around a little while in the first one so I can fortify the crap out of my base, and then I'm going to move to the next area. But as you level up, the lower level areas become less. You don't get experience. I'm like 17 or 18 or something like that, and 3 and 5 missions give me nothing except for resources, whatever I harvest while I'm running around. So it's pretty cool. I wish they would add more to your base storage. That would be really lovely, but as of right now, I only have a whole whopping 10. 10 things I can store in my base storage. But they do give you a lot of backpack space, which is nice as you progress through the levels. The leveling system is, you have your skills that you accumulate per level. You get skill points. You got to punch it into each, box in there to open up the next skill tree based. And then you have these research points, which will go into your science section, and that gives you just, more health, more damage, opens up different slots for expeditions and buffs and stuff like that as you can get as you go along through the game. So it's actually really, really in depth. I'll give them that. It is very in depth. It has the upkeep of a mobile game, but it has the depth of, like, trying to think of I'll say Skyrim as an example. The leveling system. It's not really complex, but that's how it feels to me. That's the best explanation I can give on that.
Fair enough.
But game's fun. Weapons have a they break after a while. You can't repair them. You just build a new one because you get schematics for each weapon that you find, and you can build them from the parts you pick up as you go along.
So, like, the weapon durability stuff, is that it's not Breath of the Wild weapon durability? It's actually fairly well thought out, and it lasts a decent amount of time before going tits up.
Oh yeah, I have a I guess it's a epic LMG that I've been using. I got out of one of the boxes, and I can usually get about 8 or 9 matches out of it before I have to build a new one.
Damn it, Cannon! You slightly went after Breath of the Wild. Now we're gonna get DDoSed by the Zelda fanboys.
What did you say about the Zelda?
It's the greatest
Where's
game
my
there
inhaler?
ever was.
Where's my inhaler?
Furiously typing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Oopsies.
Another game that's drawn quite a bit of attention lately was Hellblade, and I watched the first hour of the game,
Yep.
and it seems like an interesting story with like it's linear driven, so you can't really diverge from it much. It's a bit like Son of Rome if Son of Rome was linear and not on rails, because there's a slight difference and actually had a decent story. But the one thing that's been drawing a lot of controversy is the fact that at one point in the game it says that every time you die, the darkness, it calls it the rot, which is just like this stuff that grows on the main character's arms. It said it will grow more and more, and when it reaches her head, all progress will be lost. Now, people assume that meant the save would be deleted. That seems like a reasonable thing, but no one has any proof. No one has seen it happen. No one can find anything of it. And people are getting mad at this because why should the game lie to you? Because every single thing else in the game is told to you, either by the narrator or the voices you hear, and those are like, sometimes you can trust them, sometimes you can't. So if one of them would say it, okay, that would make sense. There's no tooltips except this one thing. It's written across your screen on the sky. It's not read by the narrator. It's just written across your screen by large letters. So it's like it's the game directly telling you, in the fact that the game's directly lying to you like that. It doesn't seem right. Because if they just wanted to mislead you with something like that, then they should have had the narrator say it or one of the voices. But the fact that the game directly tells you, when the game directly tells you nothing else about it, it just makes it seem like they're gonna delete your save if you die too many times, in which that turns off a lot of people to the game.
Yeah.
So
I think honestly, if they
That is-
if it deleted the save, I'd be completely okay with that. You know.
Yeah,
That'd be
it's
like
the fact that
what is it?
so-
All of those dungeon run games where they're like permadeath on your heroes, so you're like, I can't keep my favorite hero around forever because I know he's going to get absolutely eaten at one point.
yeah, it's odd how it sounds like it isn't a. That's like what it sounds like it's the intention is, yes, you only have a limited amount of lives, but if there's no proof of it actually doing anything, then it seems like it's just causing confusion or controversy for no real reason. It's like,
because what I've heard is Jesse Cox, he said he playing for it, he died quite a few times, and the creep breached the main character's head and nothing happened. PC Gamer went in and deliberately died 50 times in a row and said nothing happened. And there's no one has any proof of it actually happening to them. So I think that's what people would be mad about. And if they did put that in there, yeah, that's an interesting mechanic, but that is turning a lot of casual people off to the game, who are the majority, of the game's buyers.
yeah, it's very odd how it's done. It seems to be done in the worst way, where it actually does nothing, but it sounds like it does cause put your game is forced in permadeath, even if it is not.
Yeah, I'm not finding a whole lot here on it.
Maybe they just screwed it up. You know, it's completely possible that somebody screwed it up and didn't put that in there.
Well, we've heard nothing from the developers on it. They won't comment on it. So I think that just adds to it.
So this would be Hellblade Senua, or Senua
Yes.
Sacrifice. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of reviews, but the reviews don't really mention much about the game's issues. It's more about the whole portraying psychosis and stuff. So they're
Which they do
going down a
that
different
fantastically. The story's written really good, and
It is amazing story.
I mean, if you don't particularly like having people whisper into your ears the whole time, then probably not. But if you're okay with that type of, with like being put in the character seat like that, even though the character breaks the wall and directly talks to you a few times, but
so
She talks to you through
probably
the
not a
whole
game
thing.
to play in a dark room then,
No.
with the lights out.
I think it would be fun because of all the voices and everything.
That would be, it would be a fun once-off for someone to record with a face cam, and I'm fairly sure there will be plenty of people that will do that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I sat down and I watched Carnage stream it. When I started watching Twitch, I started watching and kind of flew away from him. But this was the first time in probably about a year and a half that I sat down and was enamored. And I was like, "Shut up, and just keep playing. I don't want to hear you talk. Just play, idiot."
Play the game. And let me experience the game.
Yeah. And majority of the time he played it, he was actually pretty quiet, which was nice because it is one of those games that you're really you got to listen to what's going on. The voices are talking to you. The experience in it is pretty damn amazing, even from a viewer standpoint, in my opinion.
well, there's also a few like really lovely moments when you like understand the story and piece together like you don't know who she is. She doesn't really look Norse, but all this is Norse mythology. She looks.
It's not.
And then when
she's a Pict.
Yeah,
she's Celtic, and
No, she's a Pict. Wait a minute.
Picts are Celtic.
That's one of those huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's a Pict, and this is right around the time that the Danes invaded that part of Scotland. So that's why there's so much north. I speak English. That's why there's so much Norse symbolism, and all the enemies look like Vikings.
When you know nothing about it, and then you finally all that's get put together. That's what she's Celtic, and then the Norse.
Yep.
It's the Norse who took the life of the person she's trying to get back and everything. It's a nice moment.
When you finally
It
figure
is.
out what's going on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I was enamored with it.
for people interested in that, let me have a look ever so quickly. Where's the Steam page? So the game's called Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It is currently available on Steam for $30 USD, or your nearest original equivalent. For the most part, it seems to be, overall, a very positive reviews out of 3,000. But you will find like the first 6 or 7 reviews are mostly not recommended. Some of them actually go into a lot of detail as to why they're not a fan of it. Some of them are not obviously that long. They've like written like 5 words. But for the most part, people seem to be... It's not raving, but it is generally well received. And at this point...
I think it looks cool.
Yeah, currently enjoying an 83 on Metacritic. I like the art style. It's very reminiscent of... It's like one part Rise of Rome, one part Dark Souls, obviously, is worth a mention here. There's also some of the prettiness that you might expect from some of maybe the grittier ends of The Witcher 3, I guess. And then maybe even some of the sword work as well could be I don't know, linked to maybe some of the other games that have been pumped out with some really nice sort of high quality artwork recently. I guess Horizon Zero Dawn is worth a mention at this point as well. I'm looking at some of the images for Hellblade obviously right now, and some of the art stuff is just pretty, very pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that reminds me of. A lot of the swords and the axes actually remind me of For Honor.
Oh yes. Yeah, I see that.
And
The game with the most power, or the most powerful weapon in a battle, is yelling "stop" because for some reason then both armies will stop fighting.
We can get into that later. But yeah.
I have lots to say about For Honor right now.
Well, then I guess we're talking about For Honor now. Let's do it. All right.
Ubisoft had the possibility to make a fantastic game, and they dropped that ball so fucking hard. There's a 50-foot crater where they dropped it. Okay.
I've heard
there was
good things and bad things about the game. It seems to me like it's sort of a more high fidelity chivalry.
Not even
Knock
that.
off.
It's more of a fighting. It's more of a fighting game. Chivalry plays better than Norris. Not Norris.
For Honor.
Than For Honor. Honestly, the game had an update. Not this current update, the update before that, and it worked great. It actually worked great. Balancing issues with certain characters, but I had less drops. I had less issues with the PvP, P2P connection. A lot of that stuff was gone. They updated again, and the game is complete and utter trash again. And I'm like, you guys literally stole our money. You gave us a half working piece of shit, and it just makes me sad because this game could have been amazing.
So
that's kind of what
the
that's
loss
kind of
of
what
the promise
Ubisoft
that
does.
it showed. Yeah.
Yep. That's what saddens me the most.
Ubisoft's very willing to take people's money and give them something that doesn't work. For example, the later half of the Assassin's Creed series, and then the one that I am still annoyed about. I
Wasn't
think
it the one
it's
that Black Flag didn't work for some reason? Like it had just so many glitches
Black Flag.
No,
No,
That was
the
the
Black
one
Flag.
afterwards, I believe.
that was Unity.
Yeah, Unity was
Yeah.
the trash. Black Flag was
Wait.
actually the decent one in the.
Can I
recent
point out?
years.
Unity was such a piece of crap that it overblew the one of the best Assassin's Creed games that were made at the same time, because they made they made 2 that year. They made one for the last gen consoles called Assassin's Creed Rogue, and Rogue, in my opinion, is one of the best Assassin's Creed game they've ever made. But even though it had a short story, but it was completely overblown for 2 reasons. One, it was last gen, and 2, because of how big of a piece of crap Unity was.
So it kind of just got pushed to the side where everyone focused on this other thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's such a good game. It's still my favorite Assassin's Creed. But Ubisoft also does that because I forget if it's Silent Hunter 3 or Silent Hunter 4 on the
oh, that looks
Steam
cool.
store. It is up for sale, but it is unplayable unless you go in and edit 3 parts of the files because in order to play it, it tries to connect to Ubisoft servers that are no longer online. So in order to play this game you have bought on Steam, you have to look up online where to edit in these 3 places in the file.
Yeah, okay,
And
so I'm
that
looking here on the Steam page. It says requires third-party account Uplay, which, as far as I
and
know, is now a defunct service that Ubisoft no longer actually supports or uses.
yeah, so
Correct.
it can't connect to any servers. So you have to go edit, and that game is still for sale, and I have it because I bought it a while before they did the refunds. At least with the refunds, once you realize that you can refund it, but quite a few people bought it before the refunds without knowing that.
Yeah. So Rogue looks really pretty. I haven't really played much of the Assassin's Creed stuff after the first two because then the computer I had at the time just stopped working altogether. I
Rogue is
sort
fun
of kept
because
up with the story a little bit. It's interesting to see where they've taken it. I believe, rumor has it, the gaming rumor mill has it, that they're going back to the past for the next installment. Back to the first Assassin. But
whatever.
I don't know whether there's any truthful foundation to those.
The thing
Something.
with the thing with Rogue is you can get in without knowing much, very little about the Assassin's Creed series because it basically explains it to you. Well, and it's nice and fun. But also, if you do know the other games, it does have a bunch of callbacks to them that are really interesting. It has a big character from Assassin's Creed 3. It mentions when they were, I forget which one it was. It does like a replay and mentions when they were in Africa, that like offshoot game that wasn't one of the main ones. So it does call back to quite a few other Assassin's Creed. So if you know it, you can see quite a few references that are just like nicely thrown in there and actually fit. But if you don't know it, you can also get into it and be perfectly fine.
Okay.
I never much cared for the Assassin's Creed games. After the first one, they just kind of got boring to me because it was, don't get me wrong. It's like they had a good formula, an excellent formula. I mean, it worked for the Far Cry games also, but I mean, after that, it was the same, just kind of blah over and over again. Go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that.
Find the
And
next
to me, it
checkpoint,
was-
do the missions around that checkpoint, move on to the next checkpoint, do the missions around that checkpoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to me, unfortunately, if we're gonna be doing those kind of games, give me a gun. Just give me a gun.
Give you a gun and make sure the mobs you have to fight aren't that powerful, or at least go down with
Exactly.
like 2 hits.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
So, just something that I never,
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the Assassin's Creed have this amazing story. It's just I'll never play it because the gameplay doesn't intrigue me enough.
With Rogue, his gun that he has, which is an air gun actually, grenade launcher attachment.
Nice.
Also, grenade launcher attachment that fire poison gas too, which is also fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. Any other games? Sorry.
That's all right. We probably should talk about some of the other games that we've played recently. I'm going to start with Allenbob. You've been a bit quiet over the last 5 minutes. Why don't you tell us what's been going on?
Well, not a ton. I haven't been playing much other than like E4 Solaris.
Okay. Tell us
No,
about
you've-
Stellaris, because I know that you were involved in a mass multiplayer the other day.
Well, you've also been playing some Paths of Exile.
We'll get into that. I have a few thoughts on that game, but right now, Alan, tell us about the multiplayer that happened the other day. So it was you, Arumba, and a few other guys from the Discord that sort of he was streaming it. I
30
think
people. It was about 30. There was 2 of them. the first one was like 33 people, and the next one's about around the same. They were the downside is we didn't, unfortunately, with that many people, you can't really run the game faster than normal speed.
So about like 2 or 3.
Yeah, we didn't. Unfortunately, we didn't get huge far in, and not a ton happened. Especially the first one. The first one, Arumba got annihilated because he random then spawned as a devouring swarm. Couldn't do the diplomacy, and spawned next to another person who was in the same situation. So they just end up fighting each other until they eventually one of them fell. As he was host, that was just the end of the game.
Yeah.
Second one,
William.
dude. Yes, the second one. There was ended with the fact that basically most of the galaxy was pacifist and just always like perfectly fine with just forming a giant federation. It was like, oh, we probably should have set up the fact that you probably should have set up like, oh, maybe we should have a limit to the amount of people you can ally.
How did that work out?
It was basically a case of like, well, basically the game's over because there's a giant federation and everyone else. So if you're in the federation, you've basically won, and if you're not in the federation, there's not much you can do.
Well, which Arumba ended up leaving because he wasn't having fun, which was understandable, because he had a very bad spawn and he was trapped, especially because a player named William, just like beelined across the entire galaxy, and he was the one who formed the Federation, and to just attack Arumba and basically ruin the game.
Right. It's a little bit of screen cheating happening then.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
So it was fun up until that point. Well, it wasn't really fun. Most people had bad spawns on that one. That wasn't really the best map.
That was a not.
Having played a little bit of Stellaris, I will say that your spawning area is kind of key to your general success over the course of your campaign. If you spawn really close to someone and they just decide to go expansion crazy, you will need to either A, do the same, or just be happy with the fact that you're going to be limited to about 4 or 5 systems with maybe only 2 or 3 colonizable planets. Which is fine for some people, but not fine for others who actually want to, go out, meet new and interesting people, burn their towns,
Yep.
And take all their women and children as slaves. So,
That's...
Two obviously very separate styles of play, but the more interesting one, the one with more action, is probably more preferable.
You insulting my Saturday night.
Only a little bit. All right. Anything else that people have played outside of EU4? I guess we'll start with Zord.
I've been playing a crap load of Fortnite, and Lawbreakers just recently came out, and that's okay. So I hate to compare it to Overwatch, but it's something like Overwatch, except for a lot more jumping around because there's like a 0G area in the map, and you're grabbing objectives, charging things, or uploading things, or playing like basketball, more or less. It's really fun. They've done a really good job with it. Some tweaks here and there that need to happen, but all in all, not too bad.
Okay.
I've also been playing craploads of Overwatch, of course, because Overwatch gets played. There's a game that's coming out soon called Observer, which let me find it on my list and rattle off the synopsis.
Can I play?
Not yet, Chicky Butt. Go. Shh. My daughter is joining me on the tail end of my 10-hour stream to celebrate 10 subscribers. And I told her she can play some Overwatch whenever I get closer to the end, and now she's just impatiently pacing around me and giving me evil looks. So Observer.
Oh, family.
Yes, family. So here's the synopsis on the Steam store. What would you do if fears were hacked? Observer is a cyberpunk horror game from Blobber Team the creator of Layers of Fear. Layers of Fear was really good. Play as an observer, the new front line of neuropolice, as you hack into the jagged mind of the insane. And it stars an 80s like sci-fi name. I don't even know if anybody in here would know who he is. Well, King might. Rutger Howard. Hugh Howard. Did I say his name right?
He sounds familiar, but I can't name him from anything.
He's in about 1 billion movies in the 80s and 90s.
I'm terrible with names to begin with, so.
Can they see what you're doing?
Hold on a minute, baby.
Ken, and if your fiance gets what she wants, this is going to be your life.
Why is Bing coming up?
Thanks.
Holy crap. It's really good, actually. It looks, no, it's not really good. I haven't played it yet because I'm waiting to stream it.
Oh, okay,
stream
okay.
it yet.
I remember looking at
Blade
this,
Runner.
or seeing something about this earlier.
Yes, the dude from Blade Runner.
He's got a couple. Blade Runner,
Oh.
Sin City.
Yep.
He was also in Batman Begins. I can't remember what character he played in that one.
I have not watched the Sin City movies. I should get around
He
to
was also
doing
in the
that.
1992 Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
He was the main vampire.
Argento's Dracula, or Dracula 3D, 2012. So he's got some recent stuff as well. Admiral, 2015. Let's see if there's anything else I recognize here. Oh, and of course, he's towards the tail end of the Scorpion King franchise. Number 4, Quest for Power. They did that. Yeah. And I believe Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
I really want to see that. It got really bad reviews, but I want to see it. I don't actually care about the reviews on that. It just looks like a really cool sci-fi series. But
Hey.
before we get into that, I'm going to play that as soon as I can, as soon as the NDA is lifted. I'm going to be streaming the crap out of that because it looks fantastic. Otherwise, from that, I've just been waiting for Destiny 2.
That does have a fairly cool 80s vibe. I see the red leather jacket with the massive flared collar is sort of featured in their game images on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll give it a look, but
Um,
I am at this point so far behind with all the games that I want to play. As some people may know, I've just started studying again, so I'm adjusting to a new timetable which doesn't allow for a lot of gameplay. It means I'm usually out. At times I would normally be doing computery things.
yeah, I think I found out what's wrong with my computer.
Lovely. Lawbreakers also looks interesting. Yes, you're very right. It does have... It's got a little bit of an Overwatch vibe, but it also has... What's that latest Call of Duty one where they just sort of made everything really super modern?
Infinite Warfare.
Jump off walls and stuff. Yeah, it's also got a little bit of that going with it as well. Overwatch meets Call of Duty.
Yeah, a little bit.
And again, requires a third-party account.
The Nexon account?
No,
think
Boss
it should-
Key.
Boss Key.
Boss Key account supports linking to Steam. But yeah, that's also 30 USD or your nearest regional equivalent. Would that also be
Just an
available
offer.
on console as well for, you know, any
That I don't know.
Right. I found out that Avon Colony is actually available for the PlayStation 4 as well. I've been playing a fair amount of that this week, amongst other things. So, Path of Exile, Avon Colony, and I think I played a little bit of Project High Rise, obviously an older game at this point. Like, that's what, circa 2014, 2016? Anything over 6 months is now, I think, considered an old game. But yeah, played a fair amount of Project High Rise, a lot of Avon Colony, and a stupid amount of Path of Exile, and that's really been about it for me. Path of Exile obviously is an action RPG game, I've had it for a while. Did start playing it a fair while ago and then just stopped. And I've done what I usually do with these things, which is not look up any of the build guides for characters and just sort of make my own way through it, experiencing all the fun. And I'm getting frustrated with the fact that while I have some good items, I don't have the damage output that is required to defeat some of these bosses. As a result of me not specializing sooner. And by sooner, I mean from the start of the game onwards, where I get my first, when you get your first gems. Outside of that, Avon Colony, I love it. It's fantastic. I will continue to play more of it. 10 out of 10 could recommend getting, or having about 90% of your colony die to starvation. 30 minutes into the 4th map. Just for context, it's a snow map where most of your food income relies upon trade, where you ship out minerals and resources from your colony out to the colony ship in orbit, and they ship you food. You do get a little bit of farming space, but it's very far removed from the center of your colony, and it does take a fair while to build out there, and once everything starts happening, so you do come under attack by alien entities and a few other sort of natural occurrences within the game. Yeah, people start either A, leaving because they're not happy with you and you just can't make resources work once you've expanded past a certain point. Or they start dying because you can't generate enough food. Which is great. So towards the end of my Let's Look video, I think, yeah, my entire colony just started starving to death at a certain point, and that was where I ended the video, I believe. I'll include links to most of the things that we talk about in the description underneath for the people who are watching this on YouTube. Outside of that, I've been playing a little bit of...
The game's 1 year old and keeps going. Yeah, that's amazing. CK2 laughs at you.
Yeah, that is now positively ancient. Outside of that, I've been playing a fair amount of PlayStation 4. Bought a PlayStation 4 recently, and I've been playing Need for Speed Rivals.
There's a lot of noise coming through your mic there. So.
Yeah. Let me know when the noise is stopped so I can unmute you. But so a lot of Need for Speed Rivals. That is very fun. I'm currently playing as the law rather than the criminals, because I want to run around in a cop car and ram people and not have any consequences. Started playing Skyrim and got bogged down in character creation on my second attempt, because I wasn't really happy with the way my character looked the first time around, so I went back and decided that I would actually put in a decent amount of work to this thing. Yeah, I hate sliders now. I really do. Sliders are awful. My fiance also hates them because she tried to create a beautiful-looking elf person and gave up after about 2 seconds because the sliders in that game on console are horrendous, and the fact you can't get access to any of the mods that help you make things beautiful. Because the PC version, obviously, you can gain access to the Steam store and the workshop, and that kind of limits the console version just a touch.
Well, no, you can.
Just a little bit.
You just have to pay for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then outside of those two, been playing a fair amount of Crash Bandicoot. It's always nice going back to your childhood and then remembering how frustrating it was as a 12 to 13-year-old and not quite getting a hang of things. So yeah, endless source of frustration, but a very fun one.
Cannon, did you unmute Zord?
I can. Right. Sorry, there was a ridiculous amount of noise coming through your mic. It was like, feel my ears bleeding just a little bit.
How is the new Crash Bandicoot?
A lot of fun. They've updated all of the graphics, so it all looks like a game that was made 2018-2016, rather than a game that was made 30 years ago, or however long it was now. So graphics have been updated. Some of the gameplay has been they've like tweaked some of the levels a little bit. They've gone, oh, this is just way too easy. People are going to just defeat this in no time flat. So they have added a little bit more challenge to it. But I think most of the challenge just comes from attempting to remember the way that the game ran and the way that the mechanics worked with jumping, double jumping, that kind of stuff, as well as like the way that the bosses moved. Whereas a lot of returning to games that you played in your childhood is basically remembering what you did all the way back then, and then trying to translate it to a game that you haven't played in about 20 years or so.
Yeah.
And then going off and playing something else because you're finding it just not hard, but frustrating, because you know you've done it before, but you can't quite remember how. So you get annoyed with yourself, and then you go and play something that, you know, destroys all self-confidence, like Counter-Strike or Call of Duty. Yeah. So instead of screaming at your console for about 3 hours, you end up getting screamed at by 12-year-olds for, you know, all of 30 seconds before realizing that, no, actually you like your life and you're going to go hang out with your dog instead. Personal experiences. Lovely. Anything else people have played that they feel is worth rating a mention?
I am definitely not playing Bejeweled 3 right now again. Someone definitely did not beat my high score, and I'm getting it back.
You are addicted.
It's going to be a running thing.
You are absolutely addicted.
Look, that bastard JD has to pay. It's my score. I have no idea who he is.
I assume all high scores are regional.
I have no idea.
Okay. Any updates to favorite games that people feel are...
Destiny 2, that's all I'm waiting for.
Fair enough. I know that there is a lot of hype surrounding that, and I hope that lives up to its hype. If not, people are going to be incredibly disappointed. Incredibly disappointed. Outside of that, just looking for something here as well. I have a whole lot of notes on it. So apparently, Atari and Nintendo are bringing out some more nostalgia consoles. Nintendo's thinking about bringing out the N64. Atari obviously is apparently is considering bringing out their box, obviously updated, just a touch.
Obviously, Nintendo won't make enough of them.
No, of course not. They'll make limited amounts like they did with the NES and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic, because that's the way that they run. They won't make, you know, just a little bit of money off it.
God, Nintendo has so much potential to just utterly destroy both PlayStation and Xbox, and they just refuse to do it.
Yeah.
That they do.
I mean, obviously,
If you just kept
PlayStation
making
has
this thing, you would make more money.
Yeah, PlayStation has its own fair share of nostalgia games. Obviously, Crash Bandicoot, and they're bringing out what is it, Spyro the Dragon. I assume is coming sooner rather than later. So supposedly that's going to be a thing as well. People will be able to get a updated version of Spyro the Dragon, not the Skylanders edition, which I can safely suggest
It had
people
so much to do with Spyro.
never ever play that game, because that will just suck the soul out of you. But yes, I'll be getting Spyro for the PlayStation 4. Yes, absolutely, and I will play the absolute living crap out of that until I remember how frustrating it is and never touch it again. Whereas I am seriously considering just not touching Crash Bandicoot for like maybe a month. At the
I
end of
don't
this
think
week.
I ever got actually very far in Spyro. I remember playing it, and I don't think I got. I'm not certain I got past like the second area.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever played at it actually.
Fair enough. I mean, I will admit it's not for everybody, but I enjoyed playing it on the PlayStation 1. I enjoyed playing Crash on the PS1 and PS2. But outside of that, the only other things that I'm looking forward to is Mario and Rabbids, and I might go and buy the rest of the Wolfenstein series.
That
The new Wolfenstein looks amazing.
That Mario and Rabbids trailer with like the opera rabbit singing was amazing.
They're currently showing, I think, it's like reruns and stuff of the Rabbids. They get like a mini TV show they're showing that on TV here. I will admit the stupid antics are amusing. after a point, but at some point you are going to get very, very tired of the lack of dialogue on their part, and just like I'm gonna assume that it's gonna show cutscenes of a variety, and you're just gonna roll your eyes and groan every time one of those comes on, because you know that it's just gonna be as a result of one of the rabbits doing something completely stupid that Mario and the rest of his cohorts are going to have to go and save the day.
Yeah, basically.
I guess we could probably move on then. After that,
No, we didn't talk about the Wolfenstein.
well, let's talk about Wolfenstein. Come on, Zord, roll up your sleeves. It's time to go to work.
German or else.
Yep.
I agree.
New Colossus looks interesting.
Amazing.
I try to temper my hype for games as a result of disappointment in the past. No Man's Sky, piece of shit.
That
Surprisingly
Yes.
enough, No Man's Sky has gotten a lot better.
Yes, I have seen some good things come out of him. In
I mean,
recent times past, but yeah.
there's all the hype that's going to be coming for what is it, Star Citizen. I don't see how once they release that they're gonna make money, because like all the people would buy the game has already put in money in the development, and they plan to spend all the development money.
I believe they're
Yeah,
going to
make-
continue
yeah.
making things like Squadron 42.
Here you go, Peggy.
which
Is
is a
everything your
single-player
mother
campaign
ordered?
Version.
Which, by the way, is up on is set as collateral for a loan they taken.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and that small piece of audio that people heard was an ad playing. I have looked up a news article on Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. It looks awesome. I ain't gonna lie, Zord, I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
agree
that
with you.
does.
It looks awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
and
looks
the
cool.
fact that they haven't made the demo easy either sort of appeals to a lot of people as well. So I believe you can still play the demo for that.
Mhm.
But the gist of it, without giving away any spoilers, the US has been invaded by the Germans. It's shortly after their involvement with, the earlier renditions of Wolfenstein. And shit got bad, basically.
The Germans won.
Yeah.
And it's years after the first Wolfenstein. Well, the new first Wolfenstein, the New Order, and we all thought that BJ was dead, and he is not, of course, because he's BJ,
Yeah.
and he will always come back blowing shit up and killing Nazis
Yeah.
because it's fun. Let's just
I'm
be honest.
actually stuck with one of the Wolfensteins currently. I've got the Old Blood. I've been playing through the Old Blood as well, and I haven't really touched it in a while because I got stuck at one level, I guess you could say, where I just have to defeat waves upon waves of burning zombies.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
the only
BJ,
thing I
he-
have is a half-empty shotgun and like 4 clips for a machine gun, and it is almost impossible. And there's
BJ,
no
he
ammo
came
anywhere
back.
else.
He came back so epically that he came back in 2 games,
Hmm.
since he was in the Doom
Exactly.
game also.
He was.
Yeah. That's another game I need to actually get is Doom, and I'm not sure whether I want to get it for PC or for the PlayStation, but I'm fairly certain I'm actually just going to get it on PC because nothing beats WASD and a mouse.
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
and you can find it cheaper on PC.
Really?
Yes, there are a million sites out there that'll sell you a cheaper copy
Hmm.
than going through Steam, or hell, just wait for a Steam sale. There's
Yeah.
a couple of sites out there that I wouldn't use G2A. Never
Oh,
use
no.
G2A
Never.
because they have shoddy practices. I use a site called Kingwin, and anytime I've ever had an issue, it's been fixed immediately.
Yeah.
So they've been really good about that.
So is Green Man Gaming.
Yeah.
Green Man Gaming's a solid one too.
Actually, I recently got an absolute crap ton in the August bundle for Humble. I got a few cute ones. Bumped my game limit over 100 too, so I'm fairly happy about my library expanding. So Pillars of Eternity I picked up for free. Well, not free, but Super Hot, which I believe it's not expensive, but I wouldn't justify spending $30 on a game like that, so I picked that up.
I think it's 30.
It is
I'm sure it's not $30. Is it?
29 USD.
Which game?
Super hot.
Oh, okay. I actually never got into it. I saw it and I looked at it and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I played it. I beat it. It was fun.
I mean, yeah, it has a very interesting concept to it.
Yeah. There's a few other ones that I picked up as well. War for the Overworld. Where is the other one? Ashes of the Singularity. And I believe this one actually was mentioned by Total Biscuit at some point. Brigador is a rather cute little top-down shooter thing with a semi-destructible environment.
Hmm.
You sit in a mech and roam around doing missions, blowing things up and trying not to get blown up. It's got a very cool, futuristic sort of laser bullet hell, almost... Oh, what was that? You still see it on mini clips occasionally. It's the art style is very reminiscent of this one bullet hell. You're in a plane. You drop off a carrier and you have to go through... I forget what it's called. And I'll remember it once this is done, and it's just going to annoy the crap out of me until I do.
You roam around, try not to get blown up. You get a free version of that called Mech Warriors Online.
Is it?
Oh, dear.
Is there any good movies people have seen?
I want to see Valerian in the City of 1,000 Worlds or 10,000 Worlds. It's based off of an old. It's based off a comic book. The guy Luc Besson, the guy who directed it,
Yep.
he footed the bill for the entire movie, just about the entire movie. But he had managed to sell it out pretty well to other people, get funding and stuff like that. That if the movie flopped, he was only out something like $7 million. And to him, since he's been a director for years and years and years, that wasn't a problem.
That's still a lot of money to lose.
But he didn't. It sold well enough that he didn't lose it. I mean, it was considered a flop, but it wasn't a flop because he made enough money to cover his loss.
It was a flop because it came out at the same time as Dunkirk.
Yes. And even then, Dunkirk didn't do that well.
Which Dunkirk was amazing.
Dunkirk was incredible. I think a lot of the people didn't really understand the fact that it was supposed to be a cinematic piece rather than a movie, where the visuals and the sound tell the stories rather than any real narration or voice work done by the actors. Is a lot of people sort of missed that with Dunkirk. And there is a thing that Brunswick and I have read that we're actually quite upset about. By way of Dunkirk. I'll dump that in the NSFW chat so Zord can read it as well. But that one review, the bizarre review rather, that so I think Brunswick and Allenbob, you'll have access to that within, or at least the news article about it within the group chat. But so someone put out I really wouldn't call it a review.
No, they were just hating on the movie.
Yeah, it was more like this movie sucks because it's all about men.
I mean,
It was
What?
yeah, it was one of the ones where it was a spiteful woman wanted to claim that there was no women in the movie when there should have been no more, but I don't see where they would have put them at in the fact that there were women in their historical roles, like as nurses and helping the troops.
Yeah.
I don't understand what they wanted from it.
And also for the fact that she said the entire thing was whitewashed as well.
No,
Wait a minute.
there was
Wait a minute.
Moroccan troops in that.
Yeah, it really wasn't at all. I mean, yes, for the most part, the British troops were all, white 20 to 30-year-old men.
That's
on
because
the
that's what the
beaches of
British Army
Dunkirk.
was.
That's
Everyone else had died like 20 years earlier.
Or they had better things to do. Like, hide in a hole and not get blown up by the Germans. Yeah, so I don't know how someone could go write something like that. And I quote here, Dunkirk felt like an excuse for men to celebrate maleness, which apparently they don't get to do enough. Like,
Absolutely not. I mean, come on. If we're proud to be males nowadays, we got feminazis coming after us. And then we got everybody telling us, you know, God knows if we're white males, we're even, you know, worse. We're horrible people.
yeah.
I don't understand the Nazi feminist. It's like, I want equality. I don't want one race to be lower than the other race. I don't understand it.
No, no.
And then we have in the recent news, the line of idiots marching into Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in a second. We'll just focus on the Dunkirk thing for just a little bit longer because it's obviously the Marie Claire article was not the only one going, oh, it's too white, because there were a lot of people going, oh yeah, what about the Royal Indian Army Services Corps rather?
They weren't at Dunkirk. They were still being mobilized.
I don't actually know that. I don't actually know enough about Dunkirk and the evacuation, other than the fact that
it takes a while.
he wanted 33,000 and got 300-something thousand, so it was possibly the most successful naval evacuation in the history of history. And outside of that, I don't really remember too much of it. The only criticisms that I had, which I shared last time, obviously, was the fact that the anti-aircraft guns were
the worst AA crews in the world.
Yeah. So the anti-aircraft probably could have been firing a little bit more. And yes, I realized that CG ammo and just ammo in general can be relatively expensive for a film, but come on. If you're going to make a movie that is based around sound and visuals, you might as well have the sound and visuals to back up the film. Not completely leave them sort of sitting there in the dirt. But other than that, there was some good news that came out of that movie. Was a couple of the vets from around the world, I think one of them was in Canada, went to go see Dunkirk and ended up leaving the film in both tears of happiness and sadness, because it basically brought back memories that he'd suppressed, but also sort of helped him commemorate all of his buddies.
The one interview I saw, the vet said the damn movie was louder than it actually was on the beach.
And there was that one as well. And I did comment that the cinema that I went to did make the film a little unnecessarily loud. But that may just be down to personal preference. I know a lot of people that didn't really have a problem with the sound levels at all. That may just be me getting too old before my time. But yes, let's move on to other films and stuff. Atomic Blonde. How many people have seen it?
I haven't seen it yet, but I want to go see it.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I want to go.
Looks interesting.
I've heard some things about it.
Believe where I am, it has left the cinemas, and I'm waiting for it to come to either, obviously, Netflix or a DVD of some description.
There's a few Netflix series coming out. You mentioned earlier the Defenders.
The Defenders should be out in the next 4 days.
August 18th?
Yep, 4 days.
August 18th.
The next
wait.
the next Castlevania series or episodes are about to start writing them.
That was pretty shitty, man. Only 4 episodes. I loved the Castlevania show.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I'll be damned if I was just like, really?
Yeah, they really weren't sure how it was going to do, though.
It was really good, but it was like, alright, that felt like setup. Can we have the actual show now?
Yeah. It's like,
that was a fantastic movie. Where's the TV show, guys?
Yeah. That was a fantastic 4-episode OVA. Can we actually have like the full season now, please?
Exactly.
I binge watched it the minute I saw that was out, and I've been sort of hanging on, waiting for more news. Now that I know that there's more coming out, I will now wait in great anticipation for those next however many. I assume it's going to be just another 4 because, people.
No, I think it's supposed to be an actual proper season next.
Good.
Thank
Because
God.
That'd be good.
those 4 were just the pilot.
Yeah,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
Because
They-
they
Testing the waters, as it were.
And that's either smart or stupid. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided what to call it yet.
well with
It depends
all
on how
the
good the actual season is.
Yep.
I think it's a bit of
If the
both.
season- yeah. It's annoying, but I understand. Obviously, you don't want to waste a whole lot of money on something that is, it's a more niche audience than they
Well,
may be trying to go in.
especially
Yeah.
because they really haven't made animes that before,
Mm.
and combination with that, and they have other shows that they could be putting money into, like oh, I forgot the name, the 13 Reasons Why, I think it was called.
Mm-hmm.
They have a bunch of other good shows they could be putting money in, so they wanted to just test it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I wish it was coming sooner.
Oh, don't we all?
I was going to talk about the vendors and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys have watched all of it yet, but everybody was racking on Iron Fist, and a lot of people didn't like it. And I'm like, I sat down and I watched it, and I said, okay, here's my biggest beef with Iron Fist. We could have really lived without a very long origin story. That first season could have been so much more besides a origin story. They could have done the origin story in 2 episodes.
Like
Okay.
they did with
with Luke and Daredevil
yeah.
and Jessica and all that stuff, but they strung out an origin story for an entire season, and that was just the worst. Now,
They
was it
tried
a
to
bad
gain
season?
more depth out of it than I think they possibly needed.
Exactly.
And I think that's what
Was
turned
it-
a lot of people off, was the fact that they didn't really get down to him doing a thing and fighting the crime. It was more about him reliving his past over and over and over again through a series of unfortunate events. To quote another TV series.
Which,
Oh,
by
that-
the way, that show was amazing.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
good also.
It's been done. It's been done well multiple times. I like the Jim Carrey version. I also like the Neil Harris version. Like they're both great
Hands
actors.
down. Oh, MPH was 10 times better than Jim. I love Jim Carrey, and he's done some amazing movies and stuff like that. But now MPH destroyed, just owned that scene, that whole role, and it was better. It was better made. It was better played out. The stories were developed a lot just cleaner than it was in that movie.
Obviously there are a lot of things you can do in a TV show that you can't do in a movie, like explore certain things a little bit more than you otherwise would,
Yeah.
because a movie has a set time limit. Like I can understand that some movies do try to push that time limit a little bit. Lord of the Rings, obviously, for one of them, just because the story behind that is so detailed that obviously Peter Jackson decided he wanted to get as much out of it as possible. But there is only a certain amount of time you can hold your audience for in a film, whereas TV shows, you can stretch the story out a little bit by making extra episodes, and people are happy to watch a few extra episodes of a TV series rather than sit there for an extra 20 minutes in a film.
Yeah, 'cause
I'd
you can
rather
spread it out.
if the film's good, the story's good, I'll sit there for the extra 20-30 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you just like,
I mean,
you know,
go ahead.
Yeah, but you are the minority in that.
I am, and that makes me sad.
yeah.
Because
I'm also one of
some-
the minority. I will sit around waiting for an end credits scene that may or may not happen.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
also
it's-
interesting to
it's-
see actors that you recognize and find out whether or not it is actually that person or if it's just a lookalike.
There's one movie that always comes into mind when everybody complains about lengths of movies that everybody knocked on, but what they don't realize is that it was a fantastic fucking movie, and that's The Watchmen. The Watchmen was a massively amazing movie, and it was damn near panel to panel to the comic. It was told very well. It was
Yeah.
long, but it was told really well.
And some of the acting
And
was a
that
little bit
makes me
below
sad.
par for that, but the costume design, the story obviously very well told. I have seen both the movie and the graphic novel, so I do know what you're talking about. I enjoyed it. Wouldn't watch it with anybody, just because some of the scenes are a little off-putting. But
Oh, you mean the giant glowing dick that's on the screen quite a bit?
So the
Yeah.
giant penis. That's not off-putting. It's a giant glowing penis. Come on now. If you can't watch it, you shouldn't talk about it.
yeah,
It's like porn. I mean, let's just be honest. We can all talk about porn. That's why we can watch it. Does it make you feel uncomfortable when somebody talks about, watching some dude pounding away at some girl?
Don't do the Jim Sterling thing.
nope.
Pounding it.
Nope. All right.
Pounding it. I love Jim Sterling.
Moving right on. I guess we could talk about the realms of anime for half a second. I finished Berserk. I was disappointed with the end. It left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody if you actually want to go and watch that. But after some really epic fight scenes, that whole last episode was just an absolute clusterfuck. I gotta say, it was awful.
I'm gonna say every rendition of Berserk that I've seen, which we're talking about the one with sort of Berserk with guts and and big giant dragon sword. Yeah, okay. Every anime version I've ever seen of that have always been just bad, and they tell the same story arc over and over again.
Yeah,
I am okay with watching this, but I want to see more of Guts' adventures. So I've read the mangas. The mangas were amazing.
Yeah, I don't really want to see his interaction with that group again
for the 17th time.
Yeah, I wanna see him go off and walk into a bar with his sword slung over his shoulder and go, "I want a beer," and then someone goes, "I don't like the way you talk," and him just absolutely kicking the living shit out of people, because
you mean
that's
him just dropping the sword on him. What? Hold this.
Yeah, that one. Or the scene where he's in the forest and he's got to fight endless waves of soldiers and, holding them off while the rest of whoever can get away.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the more enjoyable scenes from that particular rendition.
There's an anime I just recently found. I haven't started watching yet, called Sora no Wando. The English version is called Sound of the Sky. And it looks interesting. It's about a bugler. She's in like a post-apocalyptic army, and it's basically World War II, except if the tanks, instead of tracks, they had spider legs, like mechanical spider legs. That's basically what it is. And
Wow.
it looks interesting, and it looks pretty good. Also, I need to watch Black Butler Book of the Atlantic, because it just came out not too long ago, and I still haven't gotten around to watching it.
I watched like the first 2 seasons of Black Butler, and I'm like, something? I'm straight, married, 2 kids, but at this point in this series, these 2 just need to fucking get it over with, because I'm tired of the sexual tension.
I don't understand why they did it in the anime out of order. Because the season 3 Book of the Circus arc, that was like the first thing that happened in the mangas. I don't know why they waited until season 3, although season 2 was an OVA, so season 2 doesn't really count.
I watched like 3 episodes that was like, okay, so he's overpowered and the kid's just an ass. That's what I got out of that. It was like, he's overpowered, does everything, and the kid is an asshole. And then I stopped watching it. I just was like, okay, no, I've seen this before.
I did get a chance to meet J. Michael Tatum, the English voice actor for Sebastian. Super nice guy. Gay as a picnic basket. Super nice guy. He was at a convention.
That's what I haven't heard before.
Yeah. I mean, he literally so gay he floats, okay? I mean, that much of a fair. But that's not a bad thing. Ridiculously nice guy. likes talking to everybody, appreciates the crap out of it, not rude to a single person. As a matter of fact, somebody asked for a picture with him, and his handler was like, "Come on, we have to go," and he's like, "Nope, gotta take a picture." So, I mean, that's cool. And
good on him.
But just the show, I sat down and I watched it because somebody said watch it. I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. So I sat down and I watched it, and I'm like, God, can they just have sex already?
I will say
this is just annoying.
Season 3 is probably the best season of that, and the ending was just like, holy fuck, that was an epic ending to season 3.
Nice. Little bit of information, if you guys haven't figured it out already. The manga actually started out as a yaoi. Yeah, yaoi. And one of the author's friends came over and read it and said, take out all the sex and this would be a great anime.
Wow.
And sure enough, that's what happened. But I'm sitting there going, can't we just, like, insinuate it, please?
No, and
please?
the yaoi version was also pretty good.
I've never seen the yaoi version.
I've read the yaoi version.
I'll skip.
Yeah, pass.
But
Um,
as far as the anime goes along, what I've been watching is, I got back into Dragon Ball Super, and it's very enjoyable.
Yep.
My Hero Academia is fantastic. Nothing like, just this little overpowered kid trying to figure out how to use his powers. And then
there needs to be more like that. There really does need to be more overpowered kid kind of, or just overpowered character kind of anime. It's probably the platform I'm watching it on probably doesn't have enough of it, and there may be more out there, but I have not seen enough of it.
Speaking of, like,
I have
really
enjoyed
strong...
the heroic legend of Arslan as well. That was very well written, and I enjoyed that.
That's a remake.
That's
actually a remake.
The current one is a remake.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 2016 reboot. Cool.
Yeah, I watched the Heroic Adventures of Arslan in like 1996.
Fair enough. I still want that second season of One Punch Man because that is just awesome.
It's coming.
Yes.
It's coming.
I liked the Death Note manga. I don't like the anime.
Anime was the most boring thing I ever watched. As soon as L dies, it's not worth it. It loses the point to watch.
With L, they keep saying that he's just this epic investigator, but they never really show it off.
Yeah.
In the manga.
He sits there and eats
disappointing.
cake.
Yeah.
I watched
going back through Dragon Ball and the Dragon Ball series they're on. I have noticed that GameStop actually now sells 7 Dragon Balls as part of their loot set. So that's apparently gaining some notoriety again.
I watched the Russian anime movie, because it was made in Russia. First Squad: The Moment of Truth, and it was interesting the way they set it up.
Yep.
Admittedly, the first half of the movie, you have no idea what's going on. You're just like, "What? This makes no sense. What's going on?" And then, admittedly, they do you figure everything out via dialogue dump.
Yep.
But I really don't think they could have explained it any other way other than this character dialogue dumping, because it's a pretty good movie, but it's really all over the place for the first half until everything comes together.
Yeah.
Also, the new RWBY season comes out in October, and the recent RWBY Chibi episode was epic.
Yes. Let's move on to that because
real quick. Hold on 1 second. Boruto: The Next Generation is really good. I don't know if any of you guys like Naruto, but the first season so far is a lot like the first season of Naruto.
I've watched a little bit. I've watched a little bit of Naruto, and it's. I'm still trying to get into it. I keep forcing myself to watch it, but I haven't really seen anything that I like, either about the story, because I'm fairly sure I've probably seen this before at some point. I just can't remember it, which shows you the level of interest and interaction that I had with it the last time. And there are a whole bunch of other stuff that I really want to watch anyway.
Fair enough. I started watching it when it first aired in Japan, 2 or 3 days after it came out in Japan. Yeah. One of my friends downloaded it and told me to watch it, and I sat there and I watched it. I'm like, man, this is stupid. And then the 3 seasons later, I'm going, this is awesome.
Okay.
So it's one of those shows that just hooked into me, and I just never stopped watching. And it's nice to follow on to his kid and see how his kid grows up to be more or less just like him, but just, different enough to be a pain in his ass.
Fair enough.
Also,
So
One
hang in
Piece
there, it gets better.
needs to finally end.
I have not seen that yet. I need to get.
One Piece needs to end.
One Piece is almost at 1,000 and some change in episodes.
Yeah, it's absurd.
It's at this point they just need to make a movie and wrap things up.
No,
Yes.
they've already made like 1,000 movies.
Oh, lovely. Seraph of the End is worth a
same
mention as well.
Same with Case Closed. Case Closed, which is an awesome show, has been going for 870 episodes. That's been around since, the 80s, I think?
Okay.
Yeah.
Whole bundle of stuff. Whole bundle of stuff. But yes, for people who don't know,
RWBY,
people who don't know what RWBY is, the I guess you could say animation firm or company behind Red versus Blue, the machinima
It's
that
Rooster
started-
Teeth Animation.
Yeah.
That's the proper.
Yeah.
Rooster Teeth Animation made it.
Anyway, so they started making an anime back in 2013 now at this point. I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Was it really that
Bloke
long
by the name of Monty Ohm, essentially. So the first season. First season's okay. The art style is very different from the one they've finally settled on. They had a bit of an issue, sort of, I think, partway through season 2 when he died to medical complications as a result of, I believe, the flu.
Something like
That might require some further research on my part.
But it was. I love
Yeah.
the world that was built. I love the characters.
Yeah, it is now well written. It is incredibly well drawn, and the action is very well thought out, very well planned, very well animated.
Yes. It does take a little bit of time to get through the first season because it's not the art style is not the best at
Yeah.
that point.
Keeping in mind that he did do most of the animation
Yes,
and the
it was
drawing and
basically all him.
everything by himself. The only thing he didn't do was the voice acting. So, and then obviously after that he sort of started bringing in more people, and they decided that it was actually a good thing and actually made like a whole subset, like a whole cast and crew bit for that.
Yes.
Just for that
And then it
one
got
series.
really good.
And then, of course, obviously, the actual RWBY series spawned RWBY Chibi, which is just adorable. Adorable.
Yes.
It doesn't take... It's like, like 4 40-second shorts? And the actual, like, video is only, it's like 4 minutes long or whatever, but it just leaves you wanting more, which is something I find that a lot of TV shows don't really do that often anymore. They don't leave you wanting.
I like how they brought back the one character in the Chibi series.
Yeah,
Yes.
that
You're
one
alive?
character.
Yes. Yes. She's alive. Everything's normal. Let's not talk about it again. Let's just continue.
Yep.
And,
That was
Best
We
part.
That was-
won't
that was
talk
good.
about it either because
nope.
we've been told we're not allowed to talk about it. Yes, do enjoy the Chibi series. It provides an interesting, less serious background for the main animation, which it's something that a lot of sort of the animes that take themselves a little bit too seriously, you kind of need stuff like that just to sort of break the ice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And let's move into the more serious part.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to talk about this at some point. Actually, no, wait, one more thing. Rick and Morty. The third episode of the third season just went live here in Oz. So I was watching a nature documentary on the leopard, voiced by everyone's favorite naturalist, David Attenborough. And my fiance comes to the room and goes, "Oh, I don't want to watch this." So we pull up Netflix, because her reasons were it's going to be too gory, we're going to see animals killing another animal, and I don't want to watch death. We pull up Rick and Morty. The third episode is, and I'm going to try to do this without spoiling too much of the story. I'm not going to go into detail here, but the third episode is 90% blood and guts. It is just...
It's so fantastic.
Fantastically brutal.
I'm Pickle Rick. I'm
Rick
a
and
pickle.
Morty, they managed to bring back Szechuan sauce because the creator got mailed like 5 gallons of Szechuan sauce from McDonald's. Literally mailed him it.
I
'cause
think
saw it on
that
Twitter.
is limited just to the creators of Rick and Morty. I don't think they're going to bring that back in a commercial
Probably
way.
not. But
Um,
also,
and who
I
knows
saw
how
this
old that
earlier
bottle is,
today.
to be honest.
I saw it earlier today. Apparently, they're now marketing Pickle Rick condoms.
Oh, lovely.
That's fantastic.
I used to imagine walking into the bedroom, honey, look, I'm Pickle Rick. And she just looking
Pickle
at you, going, no, just leave, get out, get out, just go. That would not be a good idea.
I think it'd be a fantastic idea.
Pickle Rick.
It would really test the strength of your guys' relationship.
It really would.
It really would. Now tastes like the rat apocalypse. Oh,
Dude,
but that is like, and so it's like we sat there and we watched it, right? It was like, dude, you wanted to watch this over a nature doc where you don't really see much of anything. You just see them eating. You don't like you see the takedown and then you see them eating. They cut away like the death bit. It was like you wanted to watch this over that because death and guts.
yes.
I guess
absolutely.
the reasoning is, it's a cartoon. And so it doesn't. Yes, obviously cartoons. You can't really say that because it is a cartoon, it won't, stimulate the violence part of your mind any more than an actual, live action film would. But yeah. Anyway, Pickle Rick, awesome, loved it. Loving the third season so far. I don't know why it took so long for them to come out with this. And I've gone back and started rewatching seasons 1 and 2 again because I can't get enough.
Because Dan Harmon was working on other things
Yes.
than Rick and Morty, and that took priority. But then everybody started bitching and complaining, and it's like, fine, here, have this, April Fool's, bitches.
Yeah. And I can understand why he does it. He doesn't want to be completely bogged down in one project and be known for that one thing. So he's trying to put his names on as many other things as possible, so that he's not.
He's gonna forever be named.
He's gonna be the Pickle Rick guy no matter what he does.
Yes. Because that was a brilliant episode. Absolutely. It went from like 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds.
We're gonna do this. Nope.
No, we're gonna do a freaking 1080 and just fuck with everybody. Yeah.
This episode is staid and boring. What can we do? Insert Pickle Rick here.
Yep. That's pretty much how it felt like.
Yeah. All right. I guess it is time for us to move on to the more serious part of
All right,
the podcast.
so-
News and things.
All right, so
Go
Michelle
nuts.
Carter, this bitch,
Yes.
this bitch,
Background,
talks
please.
her boyfriend. Okay, that's what I'm going into. She
Yep.
talks her boyfriend into via text and calls killing himself, and so criminal trial and all that. And she's been sentenced. It was originally like 2.5 years and then 5 years probation, along with a bunch of other stuff like she couldn't make money off any by talking about it, or she couldn't make any money off it. But I think it's been reduced to like 15 months now, and along with the 5 years probation. But two
That is
things. My
just-
two things. This could
right.
go two ways. Either one, she has a mental illness because they only ran one test by one guy. Yeah. Either she has mental illness, in which case this is just throwing her into a juvenile because she's only 17 is the worst possible thing they could do. Or two, she actually is that fucked up in the head to be able to do that to someone, in which case you just threw her into the American prison system, the place where criminals are trained. So you just took someone who has the mind to do this and the ability to do it without the much knowledge of it, and just threw her into a training camp to train her to be a serial killer when she gets out. Now the second one, I do agree she needs to be punished. My second one was not the fighting that she shouldn't be punished. My second one was more of that's how bad our system is that in punishing people who kill other people, we actually train them up to do a better job with the way our system is.
Yeah.
We don't have the system.
I will
I don't know
admit
what the
that
state
from
of that.
the other side of the globe, the sentencing does seem a little light. For something that would happen here, I believe that person will be locked up for life, and possibly placed on suicide watch. There is one guy down here, at least in Tasmania, which is why Australia has such tightly controlled gun laws. At the time, he walked into a cafe and murdered a bunch of people. It was like 30 people he shot and killed. Anyway, so they locked him up, and he's tried to kill himself, I think, a grand total of 6 times by this stage. He's in solitary...
That's what you get for living in a country that's was founded on criminals.
Ha! Thanks for that.
Sorry. Anytime. Continue, I'm sorry.
I happen to love, walking through the streets and not being afraid of getting shot by either A, cops, or B, some random. But that's just me. Do what you will. That's my opinion on the whole thing, and that's a whole nother level of controversy that I'd rather not deal with at this point. But yeah, he's locked up, solitary. He's tried to commit suicide a couple of times. I think he's on suicide watch. Obviously, they're not going to let him die. They actually want him to serve out his multiple life sentences for the rest of his natural life. But that's essentially what would happen if she was down here. She'd get locked up forever. Throw away the key.
Our other news story, and then we'll probably end it because we're running a bit long at this point.
It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Prince Philip finally retires.
Yeah, and this is a bit of an older news, but Prince Philip, the Queen's consort to Queen Lizzie II, has retired, and believe it or not, in some of the photos that you've seen, he actually looks a little bit like Tarkin from Star Wars.
He does.
He does. He looks just...
I wonder if he was friends with Emperor Palpatine,
Yeah, no, he's not Emperor Palpatine level of wrinkled. He's Commodore Tarkin level of wrinkled, and it just looks...
No. I
Pope.
was talking about Emperor Palpatine.
Oh.
The last Pope
Oh.
looked like Emperor Palpatine. If he looks like Governor Tarkin, then, I wonder if they were friends,
Yeah.
Yes, give in to the dark side.
No, I can't remember what it is, but yeah, he's just he looks amazing in his current state.
Do we have a picture in the Discord?
I'm looking for the picture that I had seen. Yes. All right. So I've got the link to the news article basically. I'll dump that in that one general chat with the NSFW tag down the bottom there, and it's the last image. Yeah, the last image at the very bottom, where he will look the closest to Tarkin that he will ever look.
I don't see the chat, by the way.
And that's music from that particular news article. It just auto plays ads, and I hate it. I just gotta stop using Firefox.
It's him from the 2016
Queen's
when
speech.
the Queen addresses the Queen's speech.
Yeah.
What chat are you guys using in the Discord so I can see these?
It's called NSFW General.
It'll be at the very bottom.
Yeah.
The very bottom.
Other than that, I think the only other things in news that we can cover is
I don't see
obviously
it.
the Mooch, 10 days in power. And then
that
obviously
was
as a result of the recent Charlottesville controversy, he's now jumped back on the Trump hate bandwagon.
The what?
He's opened his big mouth to weigh in on stuff.
Oh.
I've
By the way, I
sent you
can't see the chat, you guys.
I've sent you the link. It's fine.
We'll
Gotcha.
fix it later.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So, the Mooch weighed in on the whole Virginia thing. He basically did not agree with what the current media manager is doing with Trump's statements. He's entitled to his opinion, but...
We thought after what is it? The Spencer left from the White House press. We thought, oh, we weren't gonna done with the. We were done with all of it, and then here comes Scaramucci. Yeah. First thing he says is, "I'm the mooch."
Amongst other things, he said a few other things in some interviews which he forgot to make off the record.
Angry Italian dude just yelling at reporters. It was amazing.
And the world has had so much fun with him.
Yep.
I guess we could briefly touch on Charlottesville if people want to.
What happened in Charlottesville?
Fucking Nazis.
There was a rally, and the aftermath of said rally did not go so well.
What happened is, just to keep it brief, they were taking down a Confederate statue. I don't know if they voted for it, because if they voted for it, then the rally was even more unjustified. But they were taking down an old Confederate statue, and so in response, the KKK and the American Nazi Party organized a massive march onto Charlottesville. And then when people were counter-protesting them, they ran a car into the counter-protesters, killing one and I think injuring 10 or so.
All right. So
and,
I gotta go.
And so naturally, when that happened in England, we were all over that it was terrorist, but now we're refusing to call this a terrorist act because it happened here. And so that's kind of what happened.
So first of all, I probably don't have a very popular opinion. Taking down the Confederate statue is stupid. This whole movement to basically erase our history, and I hate to say it, but the Confederacy is part of the American history. It is something that happened.
Yep.
It is something that was pivotal in developing who we are as of now.
Oh, yeah.
Did we agree with their stance? No, we didn't. That's why the Northerners came down and crushed the Confederate scum. But
I agree with it that the monument should not be destroyed. However, I don't know this. If they did have a citywide vote and the city did vote for it, then
take it down.
Wasn't there the one about Robert E. Lee? I think it was a statue of a general,
it was a statue. It was a statue of Lee.
It's one of those things.
He wasn't just a Confederate general. He also did a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So he's a public figure.
He was one of the leading generals in the Mexican-American War.
Yeah.
Everybody getting...
Not the only thing he did. He's a public figure, and they put up a statue in his honor because obviously people have some stuff in their past, and countries as well. This goes for both things that they are not proud of. But there are also things that people are very proud of, and they should be known for. Robert obviously decided that Robert did some stuff with Mexico that he was relatively proud of, and people at the time were also relatively proud of as well. He got the statue erected because of his Confederate stuff.
The problem is we try to make history black and white.
Yeah.
And that is not how history is. That is not how people is. That's not, like, the best example I have is Rommel. Rommel is a very complex character. He's a hero to most people, but he also was a best friend to Hitler and was a member of the Nazi Party. But yet he did support a lot of the common German people, and he was very admired by his troops. So, and that's how history is. People are complex. They do bad and good things. Another one, I forget his name, but there's a statue of him in Oxford. He founded the De Beers Company and founded all the blood diamond stuff and had a bunch of forced slavery in Africa. But he is also responsible for I forget the name of the test that the Americans take in order to go to Oxford, and he's also responsible for promoting Oxford a lot. So they have the statue left there.
A lot of the medical surgeries that we do in nowadays actually came from a lot of those psychotic German doctors that were experimenting on the Jews. It's like cesarean sections. We know exactly how many layers of skin and body to cut through in order to pull a baby out safely because of those horrible experiences. And it's that question of, do you use this because it can save lives, or do you not use it because of the way it was discovered and found? Honestly, there's nothing we can do about it, but we can use it to save more lives. So it's one of those things. It's like, yes, history is not black and white. It is all shades of different colors.
Well, like,
and it's the same. It's the same with the Civil War. You know, I don't agree with it. Do I think the rebel flag is a defunct attempt at rebellion? You know, how close were we to being the American flag being a defunct symbol of rebellion? We were really close.
Yeah.
It was also not even their flag. It was
yeah,
their
the
battle
current,
flag.
the
It was
current, and that's not, if it's a rectangle, that's not even the battle flag. The actual battle flag was a
Right.
square.
Yep. And the problem is right now the government here, ready guys, put on your spinfoil hats because I'm about to bust out a conspiracy theory here, but it makes sense. The government is trying to get us to not notice what's going on. They're probably trying to pass a couple bills here and there under our noses, and what they're doing is they're raising a stink about something to keep us distracted. So this whole, the Confederate should be, any kind of Confederate memorials or the Confederate flag should be taken away because of this and that, and why we're all heavy breathing over this, and all the SJWs are taking off with like a rocket. They're passing things because it's not going in on on the news because somebody's causing a riot or a fight or something like that is breaking out.
Yeah.
Two things.
I will admit there are better things to focus on, but
Yeah,
you shouldn't hide. You shouldn't be afraid of past stuff, and countries shouldn't obviously be afraid of their past. There are many things in Australia that many Australians are not proud of that have either happened recently or that have happened 200 years ago, but that we're still dealing with the consequences for.
You guys have the whole controversy with Ned Kelly. Is he a hero or is he a criminal? When he's both.
Not really a controversy anymore. He's more of
it's
passed into folklore at this point.
But with the
other things
whole rebel flag,
yeah.
I mean, you would have. I think the proper battle flag go flying over a monument or a museum. All right, that's fine. And personally, you can have it. Whatever. Should not be on a state flag though.
Yeah.
No.
I think the only thing that we've sort of got coming close to that here in Oz would be the Eureka Stockade, where we do have there is a flag that they had. Where I don't know what the rules are around displaying said flag are at the moment. There was a period, though, for a couple of years where it was actually illegal to fly it for anything. Because it was a symbol of armed rebellion against the sitting government, and I think it was colonial Australia before Federation.
Well, I think that was a nice conversation to wrap up on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was only one other thing that I really wanted to talk about. There's actually a couple of things still. We've got. This can go over time. This can go over time.
Nah, that's too much. We were gone too long. Let's just wash it. We'll start over next time.
All right. So in wrapping up, moving to Mars, obviously the whole thing around North Korea, Trump, and even the Filipino president Duterte. If there is any reason to move off this planet, it would be those ones. Other than that, there is also, and we can talk about this another time, there is a cafe in Melbourne where men are actually charged extra.
We'll get to that
Discuss in the comments below. Other than that, I believe that is all we've got time for. I'm having a quick squiz at a few other things here because I've got a whole pile of notes. Links for most of the stuff we'll just leave in the description down below. A lot of the news stories I won't bother linking because either they're just so old and in the past that there's not really any updates to them, or if there are updates, then just go look at your local news stories.
One last thing, Kelly, go ahead and pimp your channel.
Oh, pimp your channel. Thank you, Zord, for joining us. Your channels are...
ZordBaseCommander, twitch.tv/ZordBaseCommander on YouTube, and ZordBaseCommander on Twitter.
Cool. If you want to send those links to me, I will also put those in the description underneath this vid as well. All right. Now, we don't really have an end dialogue, so we'll say goodbye to everyone. Thank you, Allenbob, Brunswick, and Zord, for joining me once again.
You're welcome.
And that is all we've got time for. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.